And we are live, ladies. Good evening, everyone out there in social media land, as I call it. Tonight, me and the young ladies, Profit Hers, are here to talk to you about the tax industry, unfiltered, and we're just going to get into the good, bad, and ugly of the tax industry. And we want to make sure you understand a few things in the industry. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Don't be shy at this point in time. You know what they say about a closed mouth don't get fed. If you don't say something, then we won't be able to help you, and neither will anyone else. So take this opportunity to put your little questions in the chat so that we can help you out. So, Sharon, go ahead and take it over at this point.
All right. Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Sharon Mason-Love, Thomas Love, whatever you want to call me. It don't matter. It's me. We're here again tonight, and tonight we're going to dig deep. We're going to talk about the tax industry. And when she said unfiltered, right, ladies?
Right.
Are y'all ready?
Yeah, we are.
All right.
We just
So,
posting and sharing to our groups and stuff.
yeah, so
Yeah,
what I want y'all to do is take this time. Y'all got 30 seconds. Share it out to your favorite groups, okay? And if you guys are watching, we want to know where you're watching from. Let us know where you're watching from, okay? If you in Texas, Kentucky, New York in the house, Georgia, let us know where you're watching from. We want to know where our audience is coming from, okay?
Correct.
So 30 seconds, share it out, and then we're going to rock and roll. All right. So as we always do, we're gonna go around. Everybody's gonna tell a little about themselves, 10 seconds, who they are, and where they're from. Take it away, Chassidy.
Hey everyone, I'm Chassidy Grady. I'm the owner of Grady Tax Plus, where our number one goal is we're making sure that we're keeping the IRS out of your pocket so that you can live a better life. Okay. And so I'm here with everybody. One of the things that we do is tax resolution as well as representation. So we resolve your tax issues as well as represent you if you have IRS issues. And then we also make sure your business finances are organized as well as accurately filing your tax returns.
Awesome. LeFeisha.
Good evening, y'all. It's LeFeisha Cannon. I am from Delaware. I help two groups of folks, basically. From a tax and accounting professional, I help provide them with the system, strategy, and support they need to grow successful, sustainable firms. Launch and level up if you're new to this space or you're looking to grow. That's what we do on that side of the house. But my other passion, aside from helping professionals get where they're trying to go, is to provide financial guidance support when it comes to entrepreneurs, helping them build the business of their dreams and live the life they desire. So good evening, everybody.
All right. Nicole.
Hello. One for the Father, one for the Son, one for the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I am Nicole Grogan Alston. I am a enrolled agent with the IRS, and I am what is considered a corporate tax strategist. I help corporate clients to ensure that they are paying the least amount of money with the IRS by using legal loopholes and tax strategies so they are not paying or overpaying the IRS. I also help tax professionals such as you guys that are watching to be able to incorporate these services to better help your clients and also help your business so that you are keeping more money in your pocket as well. That is me.
All right. And our founder and owner of ProfitHERs, Michelle.
Hello, everyone. I am Michelle, the accountant, tax, and business coach, and I work with entrepreneurs such as mental health, IT specialists. What's that? All right. And also, I help tax professionals and bookkeepers become great bookkeepers. So, anyone out there in that land who is at the point that they're saying, okay, I need to offer bookkeeping services, but meanwhile, have not really learned bookkeeping themselves, make sure you come see me. I can help you get through it, especially these old messy cleanups that we have to do. So, ladies, let's get ready for this evening and let everybody know what we are really here for.
Well, we're really here to tell y'all the truth about the tax industry. Unfiltered truth. Like, listen, everybody get loose, okay? We all look a little stiff and we look extra professional today. We don't want to look professional. We want to tell you.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Someone just walked in the room and threw me completely off. I was like, what? How?
So listen, let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
So first question is, we're gonna get right into it. I want to know, how many years have all of you guys been in the tax industry? And do you consider yourself a tax preparer, a tax pro, a EA, or something else, and why?
Okay.
I don't mind starting.
Go ahead, LeFeisha.
So I have, let me see here, my first year in, we talking about legal years or all the years?
All the years.
Unfiltered. Just say it is.
So I started like everybody else in these streets, TurboTax trapping. A couple people. I was on the IRS website filling out the fillable forms if you made more than 60 grand a year. But or I was on my way to H&R Block or Tax Act or whoever else to be able to prepare those taxes. So I first started doing that, I want to say maybe in 2001. But in 2007 is when 2004 is when I actually decided, let me legitimately make money for myself. I had an accounting degree, had a full-time job, and wasn't making enough money. So I went to Jackson Hewitt for a couple of years. So we'll say 20 official seasons, plus 2 or 3, the dark years. Where do I consider myself? I am not credentialed. I don't have an EA. I'm actually working on that, knock on some wood somewhere, because I don't like tests. So just being transparent. That's how we got here. But I feel like I've been doing this entirely too long, and I'm too smart and I know too much to not have the proper credentials. So I'm going to challenge myself and go ahead and make this happen. So would I consider myself professional? Absolutely. Just with the level of service that I provide the folks. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Period. All right. Who want to take next? Chassidy, I'm sorry.
Sorry, it takes a long time to get off that mute button. So I have been in business. This is actually my 5th year in my tax business. I do consider myself being tax professional. Although I am licensed as an enrolled agent, I feel like a lot of what I do is lumped under being a tax professional. That's what I would consider myself.
Okay. Nicole.
All right. So I have been in the accounting, tax, and financial industry area for this is actually my 27th year in this industry. I consider myself to be a tax professional. I am an enrolled agent with the IRS, which is the highest credential that you can earn with the IRS. Yeah, so that's me. I forgot the other part that I was supposed to say. That's me in a nutshell.
I think you covered it. Okay. All right. And so I've been in the tax industry 22 years. I started out at Jackson Hewitt in the Walmart, bankrupt them. Literally. So I have an interesting story. And I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, but I gotta tell it to y'all because this is unfiltered, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, so let me say how I really got started in the tax industry, y'all. First
30
of all,
seconds. Countdown.
It's gonna be a little more than 30 seconds, okay? You just give me this time. They need to hear the story. First of all, what happened was I went and got my taxes done, and I realized my daughter wasn't on there. I'm like, why my daughter not on there? The person didn't put my daughter on there, so I was clueless. And then so I went to Jackson Hewitt to take a class so I could figure out how to do it myself. I'm like, they're not doing this to me no more. That's how it started. And then I met this dude, and he was like, yo, from New York. He's like, yo, I can help you put some money in your pocket. And I'm like, how? He's like, doing taxes on the side. I was like, how? He signed me up, put me in his system. He was like, you work at Jackson Hewitt? I was like, yeah. He said, listen, when people come up to you and Jackson Hewitt charge a whole lot, just tell them that you do it for less. I was scared, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I did a few clients, got a few checks. My first check that he gave me was $600 and some, y'all. And I did about 10 clients. You heard me, right? But I was excited because that was more money I was making at Jackson Hewitt. I was just paying me like what, $8 an hour?
$8 an hour.
And that's how I got into the tax industry. It kind of fell in my lap. And so I consider myself a tax professional. However, I'm not an EA, but I did take that little test. So I am really a RTRP. If you know what it is,
There
look it
she
up.
go.
That's my credential, okay? I'm
Oh,
not a
shoot.
CPA. I'm not a CPA by choice or EA. I just don't feel like taking a test. It's just lazy. But you know, I'm like LeFeisha. I'm gonna push myself after I'm 50 to take the test.
I
So
can't.
we ain't waiting that long. I might not think that sharp. I ain't got time for that one. We're
Y'all
gonna go
can
get
take
this
it.
done.
Come on, it's stressful. Go ahead and
LeFeisha,
take
I'll
it.
be 50 this year.
Well, then let's do this. Then what we doing?
I
Gonna
gotta
take this test.
take time to get this test in. But anyway, guys, let's keep moving.
All right.
So
So
my
me?
next question. Oh, Nicole.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean Michelle.
Why does she? You know, every time we do these, you know, she forget about me each time.
I'm so sorry.
Each time. I'm not.
You need to start going first, so I won't forget about you. Go ahead.
Whatever. So I have been in the tax industry since 1994.
Ooh,
And I got into the accounting industry in 1995. I consider myself an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I'm more of what a CMA is. I do have my enrolled agent status. I took that test, and afterwards, I forgot almost everything that I learned. And I do not do tax resolution, though I know little snippets of it, but that's not my cup of tea. So I make sure that's outsourced. Y'all want to make sure y'all heard what I just said. It's not my cup of tea, so I get it outsourced because the thing is to give my clients 120%, not 20. So I don't dabble in things that I don't understand. And accounting, like I said, this is for me. This is over 30 years. I just stopped counting. 1994, what year we in? I'm older.
She telling her age. She telling her age, y'all. All right. So, question,
One
ladies.
thing.
Oh,
Y'all
go
gotta
ahead.
sing happy birthday to my baby. Just say happy birthday. He 4. Say happy birthday to my baby.
Happy birthday to your baby.
Takim, happy birthday. All right,
Happy
now
birthday, baby.
we said unfiltered. Now we can get started. Hey,
Okay,
Teresa.
So, next question. Do you guys currently have tax preparers working under you? If so, for how long have they worked with you?
Okay.
Michelle, start with you.
All right. So I do have tax preparers working with me. They are PTIN users, but they work for me. So they don't really do taxes, like they don't bring clients in. They really work on my clients for me. And I truthfully only had 3 for the season.
Okay. Chassidy.
So currently I'm transitioning, so I'll be hiring again for this coming
Yes.
But I had my mom working for me for 2 years. She was PTIN as well as she was in the annual filing season program. She worked for TurboTax for a little bit. And I had to let her go April 15th. I had to let my mama go. And I also had another tax preparer working under me, but as my like for my clients, not for like as a service bureau. And I also let them go as well April 15th. So I'm starting fresh. I'm starting new.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It's funny that she said that. Do you actually know I just unfortunately had to do the same thing and do a revamp? And it basically comes from going on, listening to webinars, talking to business coaches, and seeing what is best for your pocket. But we're going to talk about that at another time. Go ahead, LeFeisha.
So for me, I do have, I guess I got my foot in 2 different pools. So I have a small team. I actually did this by myself for about 17 years. And I might have had an administrative person here and there. And I want to say 3 seasons ago is when I got to the place where actually was on tour with a group of ladies for business and different things. And when I came back, had an abundance of clients that I'm like, you know, I got so much stuff going on. So I did hire a team, and I made the mistake of having a whole bunch of people that were not necessarily productive. And so I went from a team of like 13 down to 3 or 4 that were actually, you know, solid performers. So I have 4 PTIN holders under my under my specific firm, Tax Masters. But then I also started dabbling in the service bureau space. This is my first season with that, and I've helped I want to say about 28 offices.
Nice.
Kind of connect the dots this past tax season.
Nice.
All right. Nicole.
So I don't have any. I don't have any preparers up under me. No PTIN holders up under me. I don't have. It's just me right now. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's me right now.
All right.
That's
In the
fair.
past was the past. We don't have several people in the past, but right now it's just me. When I say right now, I'm saying right now as of June 11th, it's just me.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I've never been a solo tax pro. I've always had people underneath me. I've had one girl who's been with me for 18 years.
Wow.
And then another one who's been with me for 9, and someone else who's been with me for 5, and my new one's been with me for 4 years. So I've always had preparers underneath me. That was always my motto. I never dibbled and dabbled in the service bureau, and we're going to talk about that later, but I've always had preparers underneath me.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So here's the question. What is the difference between a tax preparer and a tax professional? Michelle, go.
So a tax preparer to me is someone who is probably between like 1 and 3 years. They are usually P10 holders. Most of them don't even know to go and take CEs regularly, and they're really just getting their feet wet. Where a tax professional, one, most tax professionals are we most of us are year round. I mean, and no, I can't even say that, but most of us are year round, or we have other parts of businesses that we do. We take CE courses, we take it a little bit more serious, we have a little bit more liability. You go, you get your EFIN, you get your EA. It's like you put a little bit more into it because now you are more knowledgeable in that area. It's like tax preparers start out as basically data entry clerks. I started out as a data entry clerk. And as time went on and noticing that I had to take CE credits, I became a tax professional. And it started going on from there.
All right, Chassidy.
I would say for me, when I think about it, I'll be honest, when I hear the word tax preparer, I really think low level, to be honest. And not
Yep.
low level in a negative way. It's just mean like you haven't elevated your brand to be anything else other than entering data and only worried about mostly the 1040s. And when I think about a tax professional, I think about someone who is skilled, that has a specialty. Maybe you focus on Schedule C clients or S corps or whatever business entity that you focus on, and then you also have knowledge of other things like tax planning, using tax strategies, and things like that. So that's what I mainly hear when I think about tax preparer versus professional.
All right. LeFeisha.
Uh, for me, when you use the term, I, I I don't necessarily put it in a box based on years of experience. And I'll tell you why, because I know people that have been in the tax space for some time, but they know what they know. They operate within a box, and I call it plug and play. You
Mm.
you perform complete taxes to the extent of your knowledge, and it doesn't matter if you've been doing this 3 years or you've been doing this 20 years. As somebody mentioned, if you're not given, putting yourself in position to be engaged as a professional, then it's hard to carry the title of professional, not just necessarily in the preparation of taxes, but also in the other parts when it comes to the service that you offer to your clients. A lot of, well, solutions, I'll say. A lot of times people will provide a service, meaning you'll plug and play numbers, you'll submit a tax return, but are you really giving your client that level of professionalism that they're looking for, and that they're actually entrusting that you're giving it to them, even when they don't realize you are? So,
Okay.
for example, I've had people that, when you come to me after going to somebody else and I'm asking you questions about, you gave me some information and I'm looking at your return and I'm asking you for your 1098 for your mortgage interest. And you're looking at me going, I don't have a house. So now we get into, well, somebody plugged some numbers into a tax return, even though it wasn't necessarily accurate, or some parts were missing or whatever the case is. And like I said, I couple that preparer knowledge or that tax product, whatever term you want to use, the person completing the tax return, couple that with what are you offering from a business perspective that causes you to be considered a professional.
Okay.
Like the hairdresser, or doing hair out your kitchen, where you just trying to,
right,
get a couple dollars and sending people on their way, or do you really care about your craft?
Mm-hmm.
Nicole.
Okay, so a tax preparer, because we all started out as tax preparers.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we use TurboTax, whether we use Free Tax USA, whatever it was, we all started out as tax preparers, where we received document from our clients and we went and we actually put that information into a system to be able to generate a refund for them or if they owe. So I consider a tax preparer is someone that can take the information that has been provided to them from their client and be able to put that information into the system to be able to generate whether they're going to get a refund or they're going to owe. When it comes to being a tax professional, this is when we start to educate our clients. This is when we start to put into strategy for our clients. It's no longer of us taking the information that they have given to us and just putting it into the system to produce a refund or if they're going to owe. This is where we're taking the information where they give us, we're analyzing this information and we're putting into strategy. We're telling them different things that they need to put into place and educating them so they can either get a refund next year or they can reduce that tax liability next year. So when it comes to a tax preparer and a tax professional, with that professional, you're going to ensure, like LeFeisha said, that you are giving them the all-around service to ensure that they are meeting the tax laws, meeting the tax codes, and ultimately being able to use all of that legally to ensure that they are getting what's properly due to them or they're paying what they're, what they're supposed to owe.
Cool. Well, you guys had all the answers, so I figured, you know what? Let me go to ChatGPT and see what ChatGPT says for a tax preparer versus a tax professional. The terminology isn't changeable, and ChatGPT is saying as well. A tax preparer is typically someone who prepares and files tax return for individual businesses. A tax professional has a broader, more respected term, and they often refer to someone who's more advanced, knowledgeable, trained, and often credentialed in taxation. And a tax professional advises, represents, and strategizes. So you guys are on point. All right. I think I go to ChatGPT because y'all said it all already. So I was like, All right. Next question. What makes someone an enrolled agent, and how is it different from a tax? Well, I don't know if I like that question. What makes someone an enrolled agent, and how is that different from a tax pro or a CPA? Let's just say what's the difference between an EA and a CPA? Because they are different.
Yeah, but CPA is mostly auditing, where enrolled agent is more of taxation, tax planning, tax strategist.
So what's the difference?
One is public, one is audit, and one is taxes. To be quite honest, most people think CPAs, and this is where they get it mixed up. So CPAs,
talk to the people, let them know, tell them the difference.
Yeah, CPAs start out as public accountants, and they start out doing auditing. Most of them work in big firms. Correct me, Nicole, if I'm not mistaken. You have to work in a firm 3 years after you get your CPA before you can go on to the next level. Where an EA is, we already know, is licensed under the Internal Revenue Services, and they're basically taxed. Most EAs do not do any auditing. So these are like night and day. They're nowhere near the same position, but there are CPAs that can become tax professionals, but there's not many, EAs that become CPAs. It's like, it's two kind of different fields, kind of. Like a CPA may also do accounting, but it's like CPAs are interchangeable.
Yeah, CPAs are definitely more accounting expertise, and I would say EA is more tax expertise, but a CPA can dibble dabble in both.
Nicole brought this up
Most
earlier.
EAs are not going to dabble too much in CPA work, but they can.
Right.
So
They're
Nicole
gonna
mentioned a little
basically
earlier when she said that the EA is the highest credential on the tax side of the line. Is a
It
thing
is.
to
Mhm.
consider. If your space is tax, then an EA would be, you know, the sought after credential if that's where you choose to stay.
Mhm.
To touch on a bit of your question about the CPA, there are state specific requirements when it comes to the
Mhm.
CPA.
Mm-hmm.
So because before I decided that I'm gonna go ahead and take this EA test, I did take the CPA exam, some of the tests of the CPA side. So, and coming from a background where it wasn't really tax, so I didn't mention earlier, but 20 years, I did 20 years of tax, but I also been in accounting for 20 years. And so I've served as like controller, as assistant vice president in the finance area. And so in that field, a lot of it wasn't necessarily auditing, but there was an expectation of a higher level of understanding when it came to financial accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And so when from my perspective, when you talk about the differences between the two, I think, you know, you have a CPA, which can kind of branch off in so many different areas.
Exactly.
It's a credential and you can choose where you want to focus under that financial umbrella. But in the EA space, your focus is primarily in the tax space. I think that's the cleanest way in my mind to kind of differentiate the two.
Okay. So, I think we asked this question already.
Let me chime in. I just want to chime in for a second.
Go ahead, honey.
I would say one of the key difference between a CPA and an EA is that a CPA assure the numbers that's going on a tax return.
Mm-hmm.
A EA represent the numbers that's on the tax return.
Nice.
So it is a difference in there when it comes to the CPA and when it comes to an enrolled agent. A CPA is the highest you can get in accounting industry. A EA is the highest credential you can get with the IRS. They both, CPA and an EA, can represent a client when it comes to
taxes,
resolution or what have you. Both can. A CPA and an EA can appear before the IRS and represent their client. The key difference is that a lot of times a CPA is focusing on the assurance of the numbers, and the EA is representing the numbers.
That's a good analysis.
I like how you put that.
Yeah. All right. So I think we all answered this question. What do you personally identify as in the tax industry and why? I think everybody's EA, enrolled agent. LeFeisha, you got your MBA, and Nicole, you're EA, and I'm what I am. All right. So let's talk a little bit about service bureaus. Anybody here a service bureau? Do we have any service bureau? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is a service bureau and why? And what should tax pros understand before working with one?
Okay, so even though I'm a service bureau, a lot of people don't know I'm a service bureau. One thing I would tell any tax professional that is out here, or I would say tax preparer / professional, if you are looking to go up under someone as a CPA, the first thing I'm going to say, please do your due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you are researching these people and you're not just looking at Facebook
Who's popular
and the glam and what they're putting out there on social media. We all know social media, we can manipulate social media the way we need social media to be presented.
Lifestyle marketing.
So at the end of the day, the biggest thing I would say when it comes to a service bureau is to ensure you do your due diligence, because every service bureau do not operate the same. You have some service bureau that's going to put their people that's coming up under them on a platform to ensure that they succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some service bureau that brings people up under them and just being able to make sure that their numbers increase. So that's when you get the high back end fees. That's when you get the higher buy-in on the service bureaus and things of that nature. So I would definitely advise any person that is looking to come up on a service bureau to ensure that you're doing your due diligence and not just going off what you see on social media. Talk with other people that may have been up under them at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Do your research. Talk with them. When you are even, here's the thing, when you're looking to become or come up under becoming up under a service bureau, it's an interview process. We have all been taught when you go into an interview, just because you're interviewing with that company, you still have a right to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, the interview is to make sure that not only if you're going to be a good fit for them, but also if that company is going to be a good fit for you. So just ensure that you're doing your due diligence and you're asking the right question, and you're not looking at what social media is putting out there. You're not looking at what you think is, oh, this person driving a Tesla, this person is driving a Maybach, so I need to get up under them, or I need to be with them because they're going to help me get to that status. Just because they're driving a Maybach don't mean they're going to help you get to the status that they are.
But let's be honest, it happens a lot.
It does.
So your advice to people would be,
do your due diligence.
So okay,
don't go off social media.
Yeah.
Talk with these individuals. Just like I said with the interview, an interview is a two-way street. I have always been taught when I go into an interview for a company, I have the right to ask my own questions.
That's right.
I have a right to ensure that while they're interviewing me, I'm interviewing them as well to ensure that this is a place that I want to be working at. Yeah, so that's the same thing when it comes to a service bureau. So we have to get out of our mind. We have to get out of this necessary appearance of what we see on social media. And we really have to do our service. We really have to do due diligence.
So
is anybody else a service bureau?
So, I am as well.
I was too. Well, most of you probably don't even know, because I went from being single by myself to owning 2 Liberty Taxes, to leaving Liberty Taxes alone, to becoming a service bureau. And I think I saw one of my ladies that was actually underneath me. And what it was back then versus what it is now today is so totally different. Even when I came back into the arena, and I always purchase my software on my own. A lot of people don't know that you can purchase your own software. You can purchase your own software. You can go to mentorship. You can take other CEs. The thing you have to ask yourself is, why are you going underneath a service bureau before you go under there? Are you going because you can't afford software? Or are you going because you need mentorship? Or do you need someone to help you with your taxes? You have to figure out what your reason is before you go in and see who you need, because you don't always need a service bureau. You may just need a mentor.
So let me be devil's advocate. There's some people out here who just don't want the responsibility of being the ERO. They just want to work, do their taxes, get paid, and go home. Everybody don't want to be an EFIN holder. And I
don't think they even know, because if you by yourself, why would you not want to be?
But everybody don't want to do it. Like, my girls know they can do it. They just don't want to do it. They know they can be a EFIN holder, but because I have provided such a good service for them throughout the years, they're like, no, I'll just stay with you because I know I get my money, I get paid. You mentor us, I coach them. Like, I don't just leave them out there to dry. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, even when I started, I never really knew what a service bureau was. Like you said, Michelle, it wasn't popular. We were already doing it, but not knowing that we were doing it. Mm-hmm. And anybody that's in my office, they know my mentorship. I'm hands-on. I am hands-on. I don't believe in just throwing them out there, doing the tax return. Like, we're sitting, we're talking, we're going over it, we're asking questions. I'm asking them, what did they ask their client? Like, we're going back and forth. And my girls know that they can become EFIN holders, but they're like, you know what? I'm okay right here. So some people are okay with being under a service bureau.
They don't want the responsibility, so they want to stay in the space where they're a part of somebody else's office. And my thing is, if it's a situation where you've created an environment where that's where they're comfortable staying, and you're okay with assuming the responsibility for those PTIN holders, then I can understand why stay there. Some of what I feel, and it speaks to kind of what Nicole said and a bit of what Michelle said, one of the challenges we've run into is that people's expectations, they haven't identified what their expectation is of a service bureau, or do I just want software? Am I looking for mentorship? Even when it comes to, I want to grow, what does that look like? Because if you're a person who, wants to be your own ERO and you want to grow and you want to have multiple offices under you, then this Michelle might be the person that works for you. I mean, that the service bureau you might be looking for that offers a degree of mentorship and software to help you create multiple offices. But there may be someone that says, hey, I want to be an ERO, but their model is, I just want a bunch of PTIN holders. I want to have an office with multiple people working under me. Their business model is going to be different. So that makes them more suited for someone like you, Sharon, where I have one office.
Well, I do offer software, and I do have EROs under me, but I'm from the old school taxes. When my girls started, they started as PTIN holders. They, like I said, they know they have the option to be EROs. I do have EROs under me.
No. What I'm saying is, the person that is looking for, doing their due diligence, as Nicole said it. Nicole stated, the due diligence part is just as much as what is your expectation, so that when you move forward with, searching for the right person, you're going to connect with an individual that aligns with where you're trying to go and what you're currently doing. A lot of my service bureaus, quite honestly, are people who have accounting backgrounds, and like they know, like they dabble in bookkeeping a little bit, maybe haven't formed out a full business, or they dabble in bookkeeping and they want to be able to offer taxes to their clients or something like that. So the majority of the people that find themselves to me come with the expectation that, okay, so this lady here offers, she's a service bureau, so I can get software, but she also offers coaching and mentoring in tax and in accounting. And in, if they want to grow to CFO services, the next service bureau might not offer all of those pieces. They may not even offer software at all. So I think it's important that whoever's looking for that next person to work alongside, that what you expect out of them. And then to that point, then you can do your due diligence, knowing I'm searching for what I want. I'm evaluating people based on what I feel like I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Understand. I'm going to add to that in regards to the due diligence. I think a lot of tax preparers who come into the industry, they don't realize that they need to know what it is that they want. They need to know what it is that they want in their business. The reason why I say that is because if you're just like, oh, I just want to prepare taxes and I never want to ever become an ERO and have my own EFIN, then fine. But if you're someone who're like, well, I just want to get started, but I want to become an ERO next year, then, or years later, then you're disrupting the flow of your business by not just starting out being the ERO from the beginning and just having the support and mentorship that comes with being with the service bureau.
So you think that a person just start out, if they want to be an ERO, they should go ahead and just be our ERO from the beginning, is what you're saying?
I think so. Only reason because
I agree.
Yeah, they should be an ERO, because you want to have your business structure solid from the very beginning. If you don't do that from the beginning, then when you want to get software in the like later on or switch softwares, then you're going to have a hard time trying to get your clients crossed over if the softwares are not compatible to make that transition. And then you end up losing your clients' files.
I disagree. I really disagree with that. I don't think so. I feel like if you are coming in and you want to be an ERO, first of all, that's the problem with the industry right now. Everybody's jumping to be an ERO. What about the training?
No, when I say ERO, I'm not talking about not getting no training, nothing like that. I'm just saying just have your clients filed under your own EFIN, but still have the same process as just a regular PTIN holder would have, if that makes sense.
I agree with her because you can come in and be an ERO
I disagree.
and
This is unfiltered.
no,
I
you can
disagree a
do
little
both.
bit.
Hey, like,
That's
what's the difference?
That's why
Let
we
me
have
ask
so
you,
many. We have
I
so many
had-
people getting audited all the
I had
time
my
because they come in.
I had my ERO in the beginning. I did
I
taxes the
didn't.
first year, and then
I learned.
I started getting these papers, and then I went and I went to like a IRS thing. It was something back in the days they used to always have in Nassau County. I got my EFIN, and I've been working since. No one trained me on how to be an ERO. Nobody did any of that.
I got training. Thank God. Before I became an
did.
ERO, another lady pulled me under her. She taught me everything I needed to know first. So when I got out there, I knew what to do. That's the problem now that we have in the industry. Why it's so crazy, as far as I see, is that everybody want to jump and be an ERO. And it's not for everybody. Everything is not for everybody.
I agree. I agree.
You have to know what it is that you want. If you know that later on in the future, I'm not trying to structure my business a certain way, then yeah, just be a PTIN holder. But there's really no true difference between being just a PTIN holder in an ERO. If you become an ERO with a service bureau who's going to offer you the same support that they would as a PTIN holder, you just submitting under your own EFIN. There's no difference. Now it's the difference between, oh, you just go be an ERO and just be on your own and no support, no mentorship. That's different. That's not what I'm recommending.
You're talking about being under a service bureau then.
Right, as an ERO, but you know, having the support, not just going out.
It's like not having other people under you. You can be an ERO and not have other P10 users under you. You can be your own ERO, file your own tax returns, and be just fine. You can file your own tax returns.
Yeah, but some people like to be in a group of like-minded people. They like the service bureau model. Some people like it.
And I guess maybe there's different service bureaus out there. There's service bureaus that I'm aware of that offer that same support for their EROs.
Like I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm with SBA, and I've had so many people trying to pull me in their service bureau. And like I told Michelle, they got it down pat. Training, marketing, everything you need that you can ask for, they give it to you. I absolutely love their platform. Can I duplicate it? If I probably want to take years and do it, but right now, no, I can't. So my service bureau is under them, and I do have my own standalone office.
But notice you said service bureau, right?
Yeah, my service bureau is under them.
You said I'm gonna be honest.
I've always been a standalone office. I just became a service bureau because of the whole soft. I'll be honest. I became a service bureau because it's what was popping. I'm like, you know what? Let me do it too because I do understand industry. Let's be honest. Like we're being unfiltered. That's why I did it to make like everybody else. But my standalone office is not a service bureau.
So let's go back, and I get what all of you guys are saying, but let's go back when we first started out doing taxes. Like you said, Sharon, you started doing taxes up under Jackson Hewitt or what have you. At that moment in time, you had your training, so where you could step out and become an ERO right then and there. When I got into the industry, I started at my dining room table with my mother teaching me at the age of 17 years old how to do taxes. Then from there, I went to get my accounting degree. And from there, I worked up on a CPA. When I decided that I wanted to go out on my own, I went out on my own. And I went out on my own to where I was preparing people taxes up under tax layer, free tax, USA or whatever. They capped me at 5. When I got beyond 5, I couldn't do nothing else. So I could do nothing but become an ERO.
What?
I had no other choice.
Well, yes, you did. You went to a different computer.
Because they capped me. So when they capped me, it was like, okay, so this is what y'all doing? So let me take the next step. The next step was for me to become an ERO because it gave me unlimited transmission to where I would be able to transmit my client return. I was capped.
Wow, I never heard of that one.
At that point, they would cap you if you don't have a business.
Her email address.
No, it was 5 per computer, so you didn't know the game. So
I knew
when
the game, but the thing was,
you go
I
to
knew the
5
game.
computers.
But the thing was, I wasn't finna go out here and get all these computers
Email
because
addresses.
all
I
these
did.
people was still
I
coming
went to
back to
each of
my
my friends'
IP
houses.
address.
Michelle, hold on, we
When
can't
they
hear
came back to
her.
my IP address, I was like, bump that. Why am I gonna go out here and buy a computer for when I can just go up here and get these fingerprints, pay $25, go up here to the court, get my fingerprints, submit it, and get my EFIN.
So I started
They
out
sent you the
similar-
letter, right?
That's what I did.
And they
Mixed bait.
sent you the letter to get the EFIN. Because after they started tracking PTINs, because I didn't even know how they knew who I was.
You didn't, but see, the online software, you didn't have to have a PTIN. If you went to TurboTax, if you went to Free Tax USA, even if you go on
email
there right
address.
today, they're not asking for a PTIN. That's where we get our ghost preparers coming in at, because they're not asking for a PTIN. They are tracking your IP address.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so when I got into this
computer.
So for me, my thing was, if you capping me on 5 on 1 computer, I'm not finna go out here and buy no whole nother computer. I'm not finna be moving to location. So I went and I got my EFIN because it was better for me
for you at the
to
time.
go out here and get my EFIN. So I had unlimited, undisturbed transmission.
She did.
So in my case, I started with Jackson Hewitt, and I can't speak for Sharon's experience, but there was no training. When I first started this, you got a full day and
you on that computer
2 days, and then they put you in front of a computer. And here's the thing about using that type of software: it was interview mode. So really, all we what's your name? What's your email? Did you work? Did you live with somebody? Is you married? And it was
to read that thing.
That's all it was. But I had just finished my college degree at my accounting degree at the time. So I remember a day where the system shut down in HR, and I was in Jackson. System shut down, didn't work. So there was a client in front of me, and I'm one of them people where I can't stand for nobody just be sitting in front of me for no reason. So I pulled out pen and paper and I banged through that 1040 so at least they could go, and I'll figure it out once everybody left. So knocked through the return. And then I remember sitting there and other people coming to me while I'm doing this, and they're like, well, how'd you do this? Or why'd you do that? Talking to my coworkers at the time in Jackson Hewitt. One of them was the lunch lady. One of them was a plumber. So it was before they actually instituted anything that made us take a competency test, because that was maybe like 2005, 2006 when they first, everybody tried to, the IRS tried to implement some type of testing. So H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt said, let me get ahead of the curve and give my own testing. And it didn't make sense because we were all in there doing group testing at the time to make sure everybody would pass. Well, it was in that process that a friend of mine that I work with on my regular daytime job came to me and was basically like, why are you doing this, making $8.50 an hour, helping Jackson Hewitt get rich when you can get your credentials and do your own? So she actually walked me through the EFIN process.
See, I got help too.
And whatever the case is. Now here's where, my position was, yes, I'm on my own, but there was so much I did not know because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know where to find training. Somebody had just helped me transition from giving Jackson Hewitt all my money to now I'm collecting all the money, but I'm still a preparer because I've not done the training. I'm not at a place where I can educate the people. And like I said, because my space was accounting, I did accounting all day long, but my tax knowledge was literally in a box. And so I did that for years. And a lot of it was like trial and error. I get corporate clients, business clients. I'm over here. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to do it based on what I can figure out until I did.
Trial and error didn't get us in trouble. Nowadays, trial and error getting y'all in trouble.
Oh, no. Trial and error got me in trouble back then, too. Maybe not with the IRS, but I had a revolving door of clients because at some point in time, they got a letter from the IRS. Until I got to the place where I learned about different things and places or resources that were available to help me learn. And it wasn't until I was maybe at year 15, 16, did I ever get a mentor. So can we start as an ERO? You absolutely can. But what my takeaway was, you can get further faster when you connect with somebody to help you build the business that you desire. And that if there was anything I could do differently, it would have been, I tell my husband all the time, you're going to pay in one way. You're going to pay in time or you're going to pay in money. The challenge I feel a lot of people why they jump to let me just be our ERO is because they look at it solely from a money perspective and don't understand the time investment that comes along with being better in your craft. And so, like I said, for me, go get your ERO, but don't think for 1 minute that just because you get all your money, sometimes you negate the fact that you got all the responsibility that comes along with having all your money.
Exactly.
You might not have all the systems in place. You might not have the necessary training or whatever the case is. So I don't know when it's asked of me, I'm not saying one is better than the other at what point that you should transition, but I just tell people be mindful of what comes along with both. When you say you're ready to jump out here and be an ERO, you're saying I'm ready to be responsible for what happens with the IRS. I'm ready to be responsible for fiscally taking care of this business. I'm willing to put my name on the dotted line for everything from contracts to what happens if the software goes left, to what happens if the client don't pay me, what happens with marketing. You're assuming that. And if you're willing to take on that weight, then by all means, go on and be an ERO. Come with it.
Exactly.
If you're not, you might want to stay in a safe place.
Exactly. You nailed it, LeFeisha. You nailed it.
Another thing about me that I didn't even share with you guys is that I used to be a training instructor for Jackson Hewitt. I used to be the one that used to train for those 8 weeks before pushing people out there. Based on the criteria that they had, I had to train according to what Jackson Hewitt had. So I trained. But when I trained based on what Jackson Hewitt had at the same time, because I had at that point been taking accounting classes, went through a tax course in accounting, at this point had worked up on the CPA, because again, I will tell you this, not all CPAs just rely on insurance. I was grateful and I was grateful to have a CPA that was well-rounded. And when I say well-rounded, he did compilation, reviews, audits, and he did tax returns.
You had a good one.
He did taxes, and he understood taxes, and he taught me how to do taxes. So when I became up to be a trainer for Jackson Hewitt to teach others, I had already become an ERO based on me learning from me doing the work up under CPA. So I'm not saying that they don't need the work, but what I'm saying is that when you come to a standstill and you cannot process returns and you're at a standstill, yes, you go and you get your ERO. If you can pass the background information, the fingerprints, and all of that good stuff, yes, get an ERO, but it doesn't stop you from getting the education that you need. But
exactly,
get the ERO, but at the same time, while you getting the ERO, because again, like you said, we all start out trial and error. You start out at trial error for sure. But at the same time, even if you don't get a mentor, self-teach yourself. I promise you, every publication you go on the IRS and get the same person that's teaching you that you're up under, that's read or understand those publications. So you can do it self-sufficient by yourself. You don't necessarily need a mentor. You don't necessarily need a coach.
Well, wait, Nicole, you get into other segment.
Give us another question and go.
Wait a minute, you get into other segment.
You put in the time to learn it or the money to get it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask y'all this quick question. Have anybody had negative experience with any service bureau? Yes, no, I haven't either.
What was the question?
I read some horror stories.
Anybody had any negative experiences with the service bureau?
I have not yet.
I read some horror stories,
and I would say yet because you don't know what's coming up.
I'm not going to no service bureau.
And I mean, we have a question on here, and I kind of want to bypass that question because we're all service bureaus. So I feel like that's kind of being a little bit innate. It says, are there any reputable service bureaus you could recommend and why? I said SBA, but it's a service bureau under a service bureau. And people ask me why did I do all that. And like I told you guys earlier, they give immaculate training. Like when I say they give training, hands down. So that's why I like them. But let's talk a little bit about courses, coaching, and industry training. I think we touched a lot of that in our conversation. What's the most valuable course or training you've taken in this industry, and what made it worth it?
Ooh, I've taken a lot of courses. I
have to.
Yeah, it was I can't remember her name. It starts with an A. Not in this industry.
So I don't know about anybody else, but I do CPA Academy.
Oh yeah, you mean
right
okay, if that's what you're talking about. Oh, I do a lot of those. It's a lot, but see, CPA Academy is one of those I do on a regular basis. Only thing you got to do is create an account. I can tell you they almost have a course almost every single day. They may skip a day or two, and you can get all your CEs right there. And literally, this is why I'm changing my whole aspect of my business is because they had a CFO training. I did representation. It was 2 different representations, and there was something about pricing. And listening to all of those let me know that, oh, Michelle, you're doing something wrong. This is what I keep telling people. Okay, how much credentials, how long you've been in business. You can always learn something new. I don't care if you take little bits and pieces out of the coaching, whatever it is, take them and implement it in your business. You don't have to take the whole thing, but there's got to be something. If it's not, I swear, there's no way you can be perfect. You can't be perfect. You get what you can get from each coach.
Yep, I agree.
So I took my first S Corp from Nicole.
I was about to say S Corp depreciation I took from Nicole. I think it's important, to Michelle's point. I don't know that there is, one course that absolutely changed life for you, but I think it's an amalgamation of things that help make you a better professional in different areas. I think as you grow in this space, different courses become more valuable to you at your next phase or place.
Absolutely.
I will say for me personally, when I decided, hey, I'm growing and I want to do something different other than just tax prep, it required me to start looking for that next level of coach or mentor that was going to help me in that space. And actually, not even next level. That was my first. And my first coach was Shantae. Shout out Shantae Billups. She was my first coach. And what I learned was, and she tells me all the time, like, it's one of those iron sharpen iron type of thing. My challenge was not tax knowledge or tax hope. My biggest challenge was getting over myself and learning to operate in the marketing space. And she tells me all the time, like, you over here trying to come on outside and get out your way, is what she said to me. And at that time, while it was not necessarily, code knowledge or it wasn't structured training in that capacity, it helped me where I was deficient. And my deficiency was, whether it was automations and operations, because I did a lot of stuff manually because it was just me. But the greater part was acknowledging where I had strengths and being able to lead into them. And so that, while it's not tax knowledge, was most effective to me. And that's why I said earlier, you need to identify what it is you feel like you're lacking and what your expectations are of an individual or a class or a course. And again, as you move or you shift through different spaces, I went from, just regular learn to do certain types of clients or learn certain credits or whatever the case is, to now my focus is, because I do accounting and CFO services for people, majority of my clients are shifting to being more corporate clients. So my training is now changing, where instead of my radar being on maybe some other sites where we're talking about 1040s and the associated credits, now my interest shifts to who's teaching me CFO services to strengthen that knowledge, and who's strengthening me in the area of corporate taxes. And again, at this point, then again, my focus shifts from where it was to Nicole gonna be seeing me more often. I'm gonna put that out there now because I know she is a corporate coach. So I think you grow and you build in that space, and every single piece of it, whether it is somebody to help you with marketing, somebody to help with back end, somebody help you with automations. Because real talk, a lot of us know what we know in this industry, but a lot of people still got raggedy back ends. We still doing manual processes. We got poor customer service. So it's so many different things that help to make us.
That's a whole nother Zoom. Customer service in this industry sucks.
It does.
It sucks real bad.
Most people, okay, so we are working in the tech industry, but I think a lot of us forget you are business. and half of the people are not running their business like they are a business. I get on people, okay, your CRM. There are a number of people that I speak to. They're like, oh, I don't have anything.
I don't have one. Yeah.
No, you got people's sensitive information. You should have a CRM. You don't have to know marketing, but get a marketer.
But you know what, Michelle, that was me for a long time. I didn't have a CRM system because I don't know if you've been to my office, and I'm very strategic and I'm very organized. I literally, like, each client has a folder, and I know I probably do too much, but in that folder, they got their 1040, their documents, they got everything in it. Everything and I didn't feel like I need a CRM system at that time, but girl, now
you got one your whole life. You didn't. What was I playing? That was me.
CRM system, because you do.
Even now, I still have paper in my office because I just don't believe in our computer system. It's man-made. I don't believe that's gonna hold up forever. Like, you know what I'm saying? I still have paper, and I require paper. I require certain things.
Do both.
I want everybody's 1040 printed because a couple years back, I remember when my system crashed and the software company could not get all my files. That scared the out of me. And to this day, I need that 1040 in there. So if anything happens, I have that 1040.
That's why you do a backup. That's why you download.
I don't care. It can burn down. Anything can happen.
No, you download your PDF. So this is what you all should know. You should be downloading your PDFs at the end of the year. You should have a backup system. You should now. I know everybody's scared of cloud, but you know what? Cloud seems to be a whole lot better than your regular computer system. You should have more than one way. Yeah, just like the paper that you got to put in the folder. And let me tell you, if they want to get you, they're gonna get you. Okay.
I use an external drive. I use an external drive. I don't use external drive too. The reason why I don't use cloud like that, because you got too many hackers, and I don't use cloud like that. So I trust having an external.
I have one. I use mine.
Everything that's on my laptop is on external backup that's being backed up somewhere else. So if I need to go and pull that information, I can pull that information. I don't trust cloud like that because, again, it's cloud, it's virtual, it's out there. If a hacker can get into your bank account, if a hacker can get into your credit card, a hacker can get into your iCloud. So I don't trust the iCloud like that. So I would rather have an external backup drive where I can have it physically and be able to pull the information up. I don't trust the cloud. I'm sorry.
I have someone. Listen, next week, I'm going to throw a plug in. I actually have two gentlemen coming on tomorrow, next Wednesday, and they're going to talk about your cloud, your computer systems, WISP, your bank account, all the different things that people are hacking into. They are going to talk about those next week. So I'm going to make sure that, especially a lot of tax professionals, get on. As much as I can't stand that multi-whatever authenticator, listen, use it, and they tell you reasons. So like I said, I don't know about it. They talk to me, but you want to make sure that you get on next Wednesday when they're going to talk about just this. And ladies, if you can, I'd love for you to come on and ask questions. I'll talk to you more about it, but I'm glad you threw that plug in because I forgot.
So Christine Martin she got a comment. Christine says, how would you ladies say a tax professional should run their business, and what's been the most helpful in keeping everything organized during tax season? Well, Miss Martin, you just heard all of us have everybody. So here's the thing. You got to find what works for you. Some people, like Michelle, she believes in her cloud. Nicole believes in backup. LeFeisha probably got a million processes that she believes in. Me personally, I am a paper whore. Okay, I got to have paper. I have files in my office. To this day, I promise you, I'm old-fashioned. I still got files. I make labels. Why? Because I need to see. That is my organization. I do have a CRM system. I do have backup. I do have cloud. But I need the paper file. I need it. I got to have it.
No, I'm not saying nothing. I keep a binder. I keep a Bible,
Yeah.
not like you.
So you gotta find what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
I like I said, I'm extremely organized. You know, it's bad. It's really bad. So you gotta find out what works for you. There's many systems, there's many processes that you. Every tax professional do something different, but you got to find what works for you. And when you find it, you stick to it. If it don't work, try something else. Okay. So let's talk real quick about I'm gonna ask this question. Do you think every tax professional should eventually be an EA or add additional services like CFO or resolution? Or do you think that it's okay just to continue being a tax pro? How do you feel about that?
I think you should dabble in what you know.
I mean, it just goes back to what you just said.
My choice.
Do what works for you. Do what works for you. Don't get caught up in what everybody else is doing. Do what works for you. The one thing I think, and the one thing is I need people to understand is tax resolution and tax representation is two different things. Two different things. You don't have to be an enrolled agent to do tax resolution, but you have to be an enrolled agent or a CPA or an attorney to do tax representation. It's two different things. So you have to figure out what's going to work best for you. Resolution is resolving an issue. It's providing a solution to an issue, whether that's getting on the phone, reducing your tax liability, making sure you're getting the penalties and abatements, things of that nature. However, if you have to go and sit in front of the IRS, a tax professional cannot sit there with you. It's going to take an enrolled agent, or it's going to take an enrolled agent or a CPA or a tax attorney. So you got to figure out where you want to be on that side. Do you want to be the one that is providing the solution to reduce the tax liability, which is your tax resolution, or you want to be the one that's going to actually be able to go in and talk with the IRS agents, to talk with the revenue agents? Do you want to represent the client? If you want to represent the client, then that's a whole totally different thing that you got to think about. Because if you want to represent, then you got to think about EA, CPA, or tax attorney.
Awesome. So I have another question. Somebody else can answer this. What advice would you give a new tax preparer entering the tax industry in 2025?
Go ahead, LeFeisha.
No, I was getting ready to, before I answer the question. Well, I wanted to, because Nicole said something that I think is, she kind of went in the representation versus resolution. But I think your question,
we're trying to wind it down just a little bit. So go, LeFeisha. I give you a minute.
I just want to say the thing that to consider is find your vein. If it's not your interest, for example, I do CFO services. I have no interest in being tax resolution. I ain't got no interest in representation. But for me, because of my background, where I came from, what I did, financial statements, leading teams in that capacity, my desired career path is to stay in the CFO service. So whether it's your experience where you are or what interests you, my thing is figuring out what that is before you determine which way you want to take your business into the brand of your business. So to answer your question, what advice would I give somebody in 2025? Mine would be to don't wait to get started. You'll never be completely ready, but you figure out, start where you stay. Statement to start where you stand, use what's in your hand. Figure out if this is the space you want to start in, legitimize yourself, and either you're going to, as we mentioned earlier, put the money out to get the proper resources to grow, or you're going to dedicate the time. There is no shortcut. There is no quick way to rich. You either going to put in the time or you're going to put out the money, but don't be afraid to jump.
Nice. All right. If y'all could change one thing about this industry, what would it be?
People scamming people, to be quite honest. Because it's being financially glorified. I'm going to speak a white and black thing. A lot of people don't want to do that, but some services that are taught in the black industry. If you go to the white industry, you get it for a whole lot less money. I don't know what we are doing where we are trying to rip each other off to get ahead. There's no reason why you should be paying thousands and thousands of dollars for certain classes. Let me explain to all of you that are watching. All right. If you're going to take a class.
Look at me, Michelle.
Don't leave me alone. If you're going to take a class, I took a class that was $1,000 a month. Okay. $1,000 a month for a class that it was a month, which means it was 30 days. Okay. You got to watch what you're doing when you take it, a class. You got to go in, when you take a class, go Google other classes and see what they cost before you get in the class. Because then later when you're pointing fingers, no, it's your fault. Because you should have did your research. So before you go in any class, you're going to research that person. You're going to research that person's, anyone who's in competition with that person to see how much are they charging. So if you got somebody charging $1,500, $2,500, $8,000, the $8,000 person should be out of the box. And you should choose between the other two, because then you know that somebody's inflating their fees. But if you sit there and you go with
try not to laugh,
then it's what's going to happen. No, you ask what you want to tell people. Do your due diligence. Find a mentor that's fair. Take CPA courses. There are a lot of free stuff that you can take. All right. Talk to other people in the industry. Go to the IRS forum. Listen. Spend a little money to learn a little something. Stop trying to make your money overnight. And you may be fine. But when you're trying to jump up and you just going with any Dick, Tom, and Harry, I was about to say the wrong thing.
That's what happens when people jump into being EROs and they're not ready.
Exactly.
That's why I said people should wait until they are ready for that. That's
you get the correct people that's behind you. There are a number of people in this industry that can help you. You should know because you see them all the time. And when you see them, they're not just talking price, they are educating you. They're not telling you, oh, this is what I did. This is what I did. They're saying, this is what you should do to make this better. This is what you should learn. It's a difference. Go with someone else.
So for me, the one change that I would like to see in this industry, and I think it would stop a lot of the unnecessary things that are going on, is regulation. Regulation. If this industry was regulated, it would be less of everything that is going on. Right now, anybody can do a tax return. Anybody can get a PTIN number. Let's be honest, okay? Anybody. You can go apply for your PTIN number and you can start doing taxes tomorrow. You don't have to know absolutely nothing. And that is the biggest, I think that is something that is definitely on the government. They have given this industry a huge platform, and then they want to snatch it back by auditing you and giving you fines, when from the beginning, if it was regulated, just like a cosmetologist, CPAs, they all have to have some kind of credentials. In this business, you don't have to have no credentials.
But if they think about it, the reason why they won't truly regulate it, because guess what it's going to knock out? It's going to knock out all these free online software where you can go and prepare taxes.
Anything.
You don't need a PTIN to do that. So one of the reasons why, yes, we all hope and we all want, and at one point the IRS was trying to do that.
That's why I took my test and I'm RTRB.
But guess what? They did that, and guess who went up against them? Guess who went up against them? No, they didn't retract it. They didn't want to retract it, but guess who went up against them?
I think it was TurboTax, right?
It was CPAs that went up against them and said no. And that was the AICPA. That's the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants that went up against the IRS and said, no, you cannot regulate this industry.
Hey, Keiona. Hey, Tamiko.
So when they said, no, you could not regulate the industry, guess what the IRS said? Okay, we'll fall back.
They did.
We can't regulate it. And ever since then, they have not been able to regulate the industry. First of all, we have to think about TurboTax is the #1 biggest online software that you can use. The biggest one. And you can go on there and use it. You don't need a PTIN.
You don't. But as soon as you as a PTIN holder and an IRS audit, you do something wrong, here they go with fines. But you can go interpret taxes, do whatever you want. Never understood
the other thing, the other
That's
people
the
that kind of push back to that.
That's the thing.
And because I came from a different background and I didn't know so many of us were the ones doing taxes. So the people that I saw push back against that return prepare situation were the people who've been doing this 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and did not want to take a standardized test. They are okay with a handful of customers making their couple dollars, and they're not interested in going back into a space where I'm 50, 60, 70 years old. Like I had one client come to me, he's like, my 80-year-old tax preparer, I think he can't see no more. So there were people that have been doing this a super long time, and they looking at it saying, I don't want that regulation. It wasn't necessarily our community.
That's one of the changes I would love to see.
And the thing about that is that, think about it, in order to become a CPA, what you have to take? You got to take a test. You got to take a test. So the CPAs felt like if we don't went through this rigorous 4-part test to take, and you're only going to give a test for only 90 minutes, when we don't went through 4 parts and give people the same rights that we have as CPAs, that's why the AI CPAs went up against the IRS and won, because they're like, we already done went through the testing. We done sat down for 4 parts. Regulation and taxes is one of the parts of the CPA test. One of the parts of the CPAs. And I know this because I don't have a traditional MBA in accounting like a lot of people have. I have what is called a master in accounting and financial management, which was geared towards the CPA exam. Before I could get my degree, I had to sit through 4 parts of the CPA review. It was still up to me whether or not I did the CPA exam or not. My intentions at that time was to become a CPA. So 4 parts. One of the parts is regulation and taxes, right? Regulation and tax. So they felt like if they have already taken a 4-part test, and one of the part of the test is regulation and taxes, which went more in depth than even the EA exam go into depth. It's a 3-part on the EA exam. But when it comes to the CPA and when it comes to the regulation and the tax pieces, they have to write on that part. EAs, we don't have to write on that part.
But they can still make it regulated for people to even get their PTIN number, at least know some basic something.
But think about this. If they regulate people to get PTIN, what's going to happen to it? What's going to happen to Free Tax USA?
What's going to happen to some of our teams that are not yet ready to take an exam, but still need to be?
But these are the same people that are becoming EROs.
Even with that, here's the thing. If they regulate it, they're going to knock out one of their biggest client. Intuit is one of the IRS biggest clients.
I know.
Don't get it twisted, y'all. Don't get it twisted.
Listen, this tax season,
Intuit is one of the IRS biggest clients.
I work for them this tax season just to kind of see what it's like. And I'm going to be quite honest. I told Michelle, they don't do taxes like we do taxes. I didn't have one client on there that made under $200,000, not one. And they understood their tax situations. They understood. They just needed help to find where to put this at, where to put that. They understood. Big difference. I was really shocked. I was like, oh, I had one gentleman. He said, well, my taxes got rejected. My son apparently went and filed his own taxes. So I'm like, I'm thinking I'm talking to one of us, right? I said, well, he should amend it so you can add them on yours and get the school credit. I said, how much money did you make? He said, oh, a little under 800,000. I was like, sir, leave that child alone. Leave him alone.
Never mind. Disregard.
Yeah. And it really changed my mindset. And I understand now why they audit us the way they do. None of these people got no EIC. They don't even know what that is.
Most of my clients aren't.
One.
Absolutely. I get it.
I got it. If I never got it, I got it by working for Intuit this tax season. I did it for probably a month. It was a different beast. My eyes was like this.
I didn't know what bank products were until about 3 years ago.
Oh,
Because the majority of my client, you attract what you are. So I came from an environment where I made 6 figures. So most of my people, earn that kind of money. So they came and they paid cash.
Well, I came from the hood.
know.
I was from the hood. I had 5 kids. I wanted my EIC, and I understood what it meant in the bank products, and I understood all of that. So, but this day is different. But what I love about who I am as a professional is I can relate on both sides of the fence.
On both levels.
I understand what it is to need that EIC, and I understand what it is to have to pay taxes. So that's where I get. I tell people I go from Buckhead.
No, don't get it twisted. I understand both. I understand, but I ain't never been a recipient. But I understand.
Well, I've been a recipient. I understand. I have 5 kids.
And we be honest, we all started out working with EIC clients.
We
all did, regardless of where we are now.
Right, correct.
We all started out with EIC clients. No matter what you see here all day long. Oh my God, they're worrisome. But we all
are not. I tell you all the time, my EIC clients.
We
are not worrisome. It's some 7, 6 figures who don't want to pay back, who don't want to do the right thing.
The ones that used to be EIC and want to be EIC again. That's what.
My EIC people
I tell my people, you can't have Medicaid and a Mercedes. You can't have both.
Those
y'all done got these businesses,
and they want both.
And they want both. You making 6 figures and you making it do what it do, and your business
are a headache. I still get food
qualify for Medicaid. You cannot get a G-Wagon and have Medicaid. Sorry.
You got some tax professionals that are doing that.
Well,
but we ain't gonna talk about that. So listen, last question.
That's a story for another day.
I know.
Listen, at this point, I already told y'all what was going on prior to we got on that line. My head hurt now.
So how you get a refund check, sis? You made 40 times. Okay, no problem. But anyway, what's one lesson you have learned the hard way in this industry? One lesson.
I would say for me, the one lesson, and I really hate to say this. I'm going to say the one thing for me is that, and I know that we talked about it's going to either be pay some or time. But for me, the hardest thing that I have learned is that it's not always pay someone to do it. Take your time and figure this stuff out, because the same person that you're paying for this may be the same person that's going to wind you up doing something totally different, or it's going to be somebody that's going to open up a whole can of worms that you didn't even want to get into. So, yeah, it becomes some time that we get a little busy that we want to go over here and pay it instead of taking that time. But sometimes we might just need to take that time. And
I'm very hands-on in my business, so I understand what you're saying.
So yeah, that would be the biggest thing. And I'm gonna say this, and I say this from my heart. Another thing, the biggest thing I have learned is getting into bed with the wrong people. And I'm just keeping it real.
All right. What about you, LeFeisha?
So my lesson would be eyes on your own paper.
Okay, I'm back.
Don't look to what you see, because what you see might in fact be a mirage or smoke and mirrors. Don't make assumptions based on what you see. When I say eyes on your own paper, I mean your paper as far as your money, how God has given it to you to build your business. But I also say eyes on your own paper from the perspective of, your own money, not counting anybody else's money and assuming what they're doing, but also how your business is, let it be yours. And I mentioned earlier, when I first heard about like tax resolution and stuff like that, and you hear the numbers of how many people got tax problems, I actually thought to myself, okay, let me get into tax resolution. But I realized that's not for me. My heart is really in helping business owners, run their best business. And there's so many entrepreneurs out here that got great ideas, got great vision and all that type of stuff, but they don't know anything about when it comes to managing money, accessing capital, building, having processes and that type of thing. So when I realized that's my space, instead of me using my tax and accounting head to step over in this resolution or whatever the case and representation, my thing is go where my heart is. and build the business that's for me. And like, again, not comparing it to anybody else and what they're doing, not looking at the fact that, oh, you've been in this 20 years, you ought to have 7 offices and 50 preparers. That's not my path. So
That's
stay
right.
stay on my path, and I'll get where I'm going.
All right. And Michelle, the question that everybody's answer right now is, what's the one lesson you learned the hard way in this industry?
Ooh, my lesson was different. My lesson had to do with me trying to grow by going to a franchise, trying to do a quick fix to grow. And meanwhile, it actually set me back a few years. And this is the one time where I'm going to say I didn't completely do all of my due diligence. I was really looking at a quick fix, and I damn near lost everything looking at a quick fix. The build back was hard, but I stayed my path, just like LeFeisha said. And then my path changed because I was looking to doing tax, but all along, I don't know why. I mean, I guess if I walked on Wall Street, I've been doing accounting all my life. Why the heck was I chasing being a tax preparer when I already had the knowledge of being a full-fledged accountant? So, like she said, follow your path. And truthfully, and he knows, and I'm gonna say Garrett, um, like he's like, why are you doing this? This is this even recently, and it doesn't have an age to it. Just to make sure everyone knows, I've been in business with you here in 1994. I just really got a grip on what I should be doing in business.
That's
You
all right.
know, I literally did, and it's because I started surrounding myself with people who knew more than me. Now, I may have known, like, I may know more accounting, I may know more CFO services, but that doesn't make my business better. What made my business better is that I went out to learn other things to help my business grow. So, right there is like the main point. Follow your path. Your path is not the same as someone else's. Build your own path. Figure it on out. Have your own prices, and yeah, rise on to the top.
All right. And for me, the one lesson I learned the hard way in this industry is that to continue to do things the right way at all times. Because
Hmm.
I think sometimes we get so busy in this industry and you kind of get lackadaisy. We all do. And not to take that for granted. Okay. So, and another thing I learned is that I learned this the hard way is that tax season is my ministry. And I say that wholeheartedly because it allows me also to pour into people at times in their lives when things is rough, things is hard for people. And I had to learn that that's where God want me. There's so much more I can do, but he wants me where I am. I'm very impactful on the clients that I do serve, and I'm very impactful in my community. And I learned that the hard way because I was trying to do some other stuff, and God was like, "No, I didn't tell you to move. Stay right here." So my journey is a little more spiritual because I try to stay on the right path at all times. So, ladies, this was really good. Shout out to LaShondra Hudson. Y'all say hey to
I'm
LaShondra.
I'm trying to pull her in right now.
That's
It's
our girl right there. That's our tax resolutionist. Hey,
it's
girl, how you doing? Um, so at this time, I just want to thank you all for watching our live session with ProfitHERs. We appreciate your time, your engagement. Stay connected for more valuable insights and upcoming events. Let's continue to build this profitable future together. You guys have an amazing night. Signing off.
have a good night, ladies.
Night,
Bye-bye.
y'all.
I have to figure out how to pull. I wanted to pull her in and I couldn't.
Look, I'm still smiling.
Mm-hmm. You still, LaShonda, I'm sorry. I don't guess you don't see me pulling you in. It's for whatever reason we can't get you pulled in. I'm trying to get you on a platform because I do want you to announce your class that you're giving out. And it says you're on stage. Are you on stage?
Well, we got a few more seconds.
Can't get pulled in?
Can't get pulled in.
Yeah, I was looking for her and Teresa, and I can't get them in.
So you
All
got
right,
to
we have
figure
to,
out how to do that next time.
All right, ladies, I'm so sorry. You have to figure out how to get you pulled in when we're on. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be having another one within the next 2 weeks. There is a link in the comments that actually tells you how you can actually get notification and alerts of any course or anything we're talking about. And if there is a certain course or a certain topic that you want us to speak about, please send one of us a DM and specifically send it to me. And I'll make sure the ladies can chime in. And we're looking forward to due diligence as well. So if you know you're a specialist in due diligence, please hit me up. Talk to everyone and have a good night.